Hey everybody, what's happening? Welcome to another episode of my rock review. Album I'm about to do today is Led Zeppelin sixth studio album, Physical Graffiti, released in 1975 on their label Swan Song. I believe, no, never mind, never mind. Okay, I was gonna say I believe this was their first album on the label, but I forgot. Yeah, actually, yeah, I'm mistaken. This was their first album on their own label. So, as usual, they never really they never really a group to have like singles, but Trampled on the Foot, Black Country Woman, it was kind of like a double single and stuff like that. And if you guys want to be technical, Cashmere was a single. If you guys want to be technical, but it was a popular it was like a popular song that just got radio airplay, kind of like with Stairway to Heaven. Now, in case you guys don't know who Led Zeppelin are, I'll review Led Zeppelin 1, 2, 3, 4, and House of the Holy. So that should give you an idea who they are. Okay, so let's take it back to 1973. Led Zeppelin, they just dropped House of the Holy, which in my opinion, their best album in my opinion. Because like it was a different sound for them. They were experimenting. I felt like John Paul Jones, he did his thing with the monster instrumentation with that. But I kind of feel like House of the Holy is John Paul Jones's single best album with Led Zeppelin. Like he stole the show from that album. Okay, so 1973, after the album came out, they performed three sold out shows in the Madison Square Garden. Well received, and that those performances were known at became known like for the song remains the same. The classic concert film, in my opinion, very dope concert film. I need to get my hands on the soundtrack though. Yeah, and the movie of course. I need to get my hands on those, but yeah, 'cause they kind of overpriced them at times, so I have to find like a good place where they sell them at a good price. And so they originally started working on Physical in 1973, but they had to postpone it for two reasons. One, because Bad Company, they'll use most of the studio to record their debut album. As you guys should know, they signed to Led Zeppelin's record label. And two, John Paul Jones actually was sick, so they had to put like the recording on hold. And they picked it back up and they worked on this album some more and stuff like that. And yeah, this out between and it's crazy because while they were touring, I think they went on a tour like in 19. Let me see. I have to cheat a little bit. Which tour was it? Yeah, cause they went on tour like a couple of months before yeah, Physical Graffiti came out, and they kind of debuted some songs. They kind of debuted some songs on that tour from this album and stuff like that. Cause yeah, cause like most time artists they like to record the album, then go on tour. Where like back in the day, like I think Led Zeppelin, they mostly went on tour first because if you guys should know about Led Zeppelin, the tours they were always on the tours and stuff like that, always touring, and that's why you don't see them a lot in TV appearances because they said if you want to experience a real thing, come on tour, which I kind of respect that because sometimes some bands when they perform on like a TV show or something like that, people be like, oh well, you can't perform this, you can't perform that. Kind of like with how Ed Sullivan, he kind of like when I think who was it? The Rolling Stones and the Doors, they came. They was saying like how you can't say certain lines and stuff like that. So I kind of understand why they did what they did. And so 1975, this album came out. Now this is actually the 2005 reissue. And what's cool about this reissue is it came out with some unreleased songs and stuff like that. So yeah. So yeah, you have CD. Yeah, here's a booklet right here. Pretty dope cover. Um, little trivia. The same building was also the same building where the Rolling Stones shot the video for "Waiting for a Friend," released that off the Tattoo You album, which is an album I reviewed I think about 2 years ago. Classic album, in my opinion. Probably the last really great album, if you ask me. Pictures of the band chilling. Um, all that done. Oh, in case you guys don't know, in case you guys are first watching this video who don't know who Led Zeppelin are, Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham. Yeah, dope. And you guys gotta understand, like 1975, they were at their peak of their popularity around this time. So they were really like at the peak because they're touring and so on and so on. Yeah. Okay. So let's see what we got here. But I don't really consider this their best album, of course. And I know a lot of people are gonna look at me like I'm crazy or something, but it's not like I don't like the album. I love this album. It's just that there's certain, like, how can I put this? How can I put this? House of the Holy stuck with me more because a lot of Led Zeppelin's classic, and most innovative songs were on that album. I've mentioned this countless times, so just see my review on that album. Alright, so 15 songs, you guys should know how I do. First song off this album is Custard Pie. Love this song. Nice way to start the album and stuff like that. I love this heavy groove and things of that nature. Custard Pie basically is talking about a woman's, you guys know what I'm talking about. And basically it's just basically a sex song. And it also pays homage to other blues songs like Sleepy John Estes, if I'm saying his last name right, Drop Down Mama, Booker White, Shake 'Em Down. And I love the fact that Robert Plant played harmonica on this song. So Custard Pie, very nice way to start off the album. Track number two, The Rover. Um, that song was a very interesting song right there. And it was originally supposed to be an acoustic piece, and it was originally supposed to be in Houses of the Holy, but it didn't go out well, so they reworked it, and the results were actually pretty good. John Bottom's heavy drum beat stole the show off that song, and Robert Plant's vocals were very. Robert Plant had like a lot of ingenious vocals and stuff like that. And that's another thing about this album too. Like just like Tattoo You, they reworked a lot of unreleased songs or just added them there and stuff like that, and somehow it all blends correctly and stuff like that. Then we have In My Time of Dying. Oh my god, that song is so heavy right there. It's actually a traditional gospel song, but this is actually the only song where all four members actually got a writing credit, and it's the longest studio track on any Led Zeppelin album. And it's kind of interesting because there's no instrumentals around this whole song. And another thing I like about this song, it's like a vintage Led Zeppelin sound because it sounds like something you would hear from what was it? Their first album, Led Zeppelin One. Very good, dope song right there. And that concludes side one. Then we have the side two. We have House of the Holy. Hence the title. Originally it was supposed to be on House of the Holy as well. So nice song right there. An underrated song if you ask me. Now the song is basically talking about how it's basically talking about how young kids like to have sex like in concert halls, movie theaters. But I've also heard that mm, I've also heard they call this Outhouses of Holy because it's a tribute to when they perform it live and stuff like that. So the stadium or the venue represents the houses of the holy. That's what I heard. I heard different stories about what exactly that title meant. So then we have damn, what's the name of that next song? Trampled Underfoot. Um that song is another very it was a very funky-ish song. It was influenced by Robert Johnson's Terraplane Blues. And what I got from that song is like how they're using car parts to reference sex, basically. Basically, that's what I got. You know, pretty interesting song. Then we have Cashmere, which is widely regarded as one of the greatest rock songs of all time. I mean, once you hear that, boom, boom, dun 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 dun, like it was a very very dope song. Um, wow, what can you say about Cashmere that has not already been said before? For one, this song actually took them 3 years to actually write, and yeah, it took 3 years to write, and it was written when Robert Plant was in he went to like the wastelands, like in southern Morocco, and he just loved the scenery there, and he just started writing it. And Led Zeppelin, they've always had like a strong influence when it came to like Arabian or Indian culture, Arabian culture and stuff like that. Like I think them and the Beatles had like that strong influence. Because like if you listen to Sergeant Pepper from the Beatles, you'll know what I'm talking about. Then we have yes, classic song, The Cashmere, classic song. Track number 7, In the Light. Now this was a song that grew over me when I was looking up some stuff off this album. Originally, this was supposed to be a piano ballad called Everybody Makes It Through, but they rewrote the song and it added an improvised outro section so I can layer with like Jimmy Page's guitar and things of that nature. My favorite part of this whole song, that's let me get into that. John Paul Jones' synthesizer solo, and the way Jimmy Page used, of course, he used that violin bow on his acoustic guitar to create like a unique sound. Um, and it was actually the first song since the album Led Zeppelin one that Jimmy Page had done stuff like that. And John Paul Jones basically, um, him in this song and in Cashmere stole the show. Like very stole the show, added a very different feel to it. Different feel to it. And that's another thing. John Paul Jones does not get the credit he deserves. Yes, I admit he was a dope bassist, but dude, he when you add like synthesizers, he would play the piano, organ at times. Like he was a very dope multi instrumentationalist and very dope one. In fact, okay. And also I want to add a note how I love the fact how John Bonham's drums came out of nowhere, just crashing, and him balancing the feelings of the song with Jimmy Page's guitar playing, Robert Plant's vocals were just astonishing. And that's why, like, in my opinion, John Bonham's the best rock drummer ever. Period. I want to hear the only people that can come close are Keith Moon and Neil Peart, in my opinion. Then we have Braun. I always butcher this name. Bronner, yeah, was basically like an instrumental, acoustic instrumental. It was actually the first instrumental that they've done since Led Zeppelin 3, and the shortest track that they ever done on record, which leads to Down by the Seaside, which originally was supposed to be on Led Zeppelin 4. I can actually really see that on Led Zeppelin 4. Dope song, very like relaxing, soothing song. Um, it reminds me of something that you would hear from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, or hell, even Neil Young's The Harvest album. It's something like sound like something you would hear from that. And coincidentally, It's titled "Down by the Seaside." It's reference a Neil Young song "Down by the River," and you can actually hear Robert playing kind of like singing, kind of like Neil Young over the song, kind of like his way of showing homage towards him. Very very dope song. And John Paul Jones, he plays the piano, electro piano on that. Give me 1 minute, please. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I had to handle something right quick. Okay, 10 Years Gone. My opinion, my favorite song on this album and one of the most slept on songs, period. Very one of my other favorite songs that performed live at. Originally, this was supposed to be an instrumental piece, but from what I've read, that Robert Plant, he loved it so much he started writing lyrics to it about basically a love he had once, and she was like, it's either gonna be her or the music, and basically what I got from that is like, you have to follow your dreams no matter what risk you have to take, basically. And one thing I loved how the chemistry Robert and Jimmy had, especially in the first part of the song, like when you hear Jimmy Page's riff and Robert Plant just has a haunting tone, added like a little haunting tone towards the song and things of that nature. Like, where was I? Yeah, very dope song right there. It's a classic song if you ask me. Next song, Night Flight. That song, this was a pretty okay song. Not really one of my favorites. It's actually one of the few songs not to feature a guitar solo. Basically, Robert Plant basically he wrote the song after he talking about a guy that evaded that he didn't want to he evaded the military draft or things of that nature. Basically, a draft dodger basically. Yeah, pretty okay song. Not really one of my favorites. Then we have the Winton song, which is another sex song. Um, one of the most heaviest songs they've ever done, and it's kind of interesting because Jimmy Page he actually used a backwards echo, and from what I've read about the song, he put the guitar through like a Leslie speaker, and he created like a weird effect with it while playing like the organ. And he used his technique since like the Yardbird days. So yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting how he came up with that song. Then we have Boogie with Stu, featuring Ian Stewart on Ian Stewart on piano. You guys should know who Ian Stewart is. He's basically the one of the members of the Stone. I think he was like the manager. Wait, was he a manager? Give me 1 minute. I'm sorry. Yeah, he was a keyboardist and a co-founder for the Stones and stuff like that. And yeah, rest in peace, cause he died. He actually died and stuff like that. He had a heart attack. Rest in peace to him. Um, that song was that song is not bad, but it sounded more like a Rolling Stones song, like something you would hear maybe from the Exile on Main Street. So it's not like a bad song. I mean, it's not one of my favorites, but it's still recommendable basically. Then we have Black Country Woman, which is supposed to be supposed to be part of Houses of the Holy, and it's an acoustic song where it's actually interesting too because they were recording this outside to capture like the nature feel of it, but it was very difficult because they recorded like in a garden, and basically they were attacked by geese when they were recording the song. So yeah, and it's actually the last Led Zeppelin acoustic song on their original studio records. And last song off this album, "Sick Again," it's just talking about teenage groupies and stuff like that. Um, yeah, that's all the songs off this album. Personally, this is a classic rock album, but it's not my favorite album from them. I know a lot of people said this is like their best album, but reason being is because I kind of felt like while the first three sides you can play that without skipping a track, like the last side kind of it was kind of hit or miss though. Although I did like songs like Black Country Woman, the Winston song. The other song was kind of like but it was still okay in their standards, you know. Because Led Zeppelin, they're a group that you rarely hear any bad songs from there, rarely. Because they're always on point with their stuff, you know. Um, what else about this song? And just like House with the Holy, they further their diversity with this album, you know. Like, and yeah, basically, yeah, further diversity. Love their energy throughout this whole album, you know. I feel like Jimmy Page done a great job with the production. Yeah, very good album. It's a classic album and stuff like that. Very classic album. And cause when I first heard this album, I got mad. When I first heard this album, I was kind of like, it's overrated. I mean, it's good. I thought it was kind of good, but not great as many people make it out to be. But over the years, I've come to appreciate this whole album more and things of that nature. So, Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti, 1975, must have in your copy. I mean, yeah, must have in your collection. Yeah. And that's all the time I have. Stay tuned for more stuff. This is your boy. Peace.